Well, that's what opening up a can of whoop-ass feels like.
Son, you just opened a whole case of whoop-ass.
This is Aussie Skateboard, and you're listening to UCY.tv.
Freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble. You're all a bunch of slaves. Bunch of slaves.
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Lying lips are an abomination. My name is S.M. Gibson. It is May the 19th, 2016. You are listening to Anti-Media Radio. You can catch us every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at www.ucy.tv/TAMR or the antimedia.org/radio, and catch all of our replays on YouTube. Well, the monarchy is falling down. The Clintons are crumbling down. Finally, we're about to see some retribution in American politics. We're going to see Bill Clinton scarred the same way Bill Cosby is. People are going to look at this man and they're going to say, wow, he's a rapist. He's a pedophile. He's a sick, perverted man. And it's all going to be Hillary Clinton's fault. Because if Hillary Clinton would have never ran for president and pissed off everybody, Bill Clinton would have gone down as the president in between both of the Bushes. He would have been the cool guy. The economy did great. Everything went good. He had people shaking hands, smoking weed, getting blowjobs in the Oval Office. And then his wife ran for president. And all that cutesy, the economy did good stuff went out the window. And now he's supposedly been on an airplane with Jeffrey Epstein with a bunch of sex trafficking. That's the rumor going around. Who knows? I wasn't on the plane. I can't tell you if it's true, but I know that Bill Clinton has been accused of sex by Miss Juanita Broderick. Or rape, excuse me. But
that's just one person.
Oh, yeah, that's just one. There's supposedly 2,000 women, they say, at least, he's had sexual relations with, if that's his word. I tell you what, I want to go ahead and bring in our co-host for the night, the genius himself, Mr. Kevin Knight. Kevin, what's going on?
Hey, man, good to be back with you fine fellas.
Yes, sir. And sitting in studio, great friend, brilliant man, smarter than I'll ever be, Mr. Rob Wyckoff.
That's
Rob.
Hello, friends.
So, yeah, man, the Clintons. You know what? I don't even care. I know it inadvertently helps Big Daddy Trump. I don't want to do that. I don't care. These people are scumbags. They are the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. And I'm not here to say I'm anybody's judge, these people. Horrible. And it's all going to come crumbling down because of her ego. Because her ego had to push it one last time. She's got the FBI coming down on her. And she is about to have something come down on her she never thought would happen. And that is Donald Trump's mouth. He has already brought up rape. And they haven't even started running against each other yet. I actually posted a tweet 2 days ago that said, I wonder how long it's going to be until he straight up calls Bill Clinton a rapist. Today, I retweeted that saying, apparently the answer was one day.
Didn't waste much time.
He didn't.
Do you think Bill, I can't help but wonder, do you think Bill in the background is like, go, baby? You know, just like, is he dreading having all, I mean, how long
has it been? He doesn't want
since
Hillary to be president. I know that. I don't think Bill's going to be alive much longer. Bill looks like he's about to fall over.
He does, man.
He looks like he is sick.
Yeah, I may disagree with you on the point of Bill not wanting Hillary to be president.
I don't think he... you know why I don't? I'll tell you why. This is my personal opinion. I think it's an ego thing, and I think it's a legacy thing. Because if his wife becomes president, he'll always be known as, in history, the husband of the guy that was the first woman president.
No.
In history, he will.
I don't think so. I don't think we look back at
4 presidents from now. Yep.
I don't think we look back at Robert Kennedy and say, "Hey, that was the guy who got the gig because his brother was president."
Well, Robert Kennedy never became president.
Well, but he was a very powerful man.
But he was attorney general at the time. He was going to become president. We can go through that whole story.
I think people just have too short of memories to even...
But I don't. That's why I sit here, and I still to this day, look, it was a Bill Hicks skit, and apparently I'm a Bill Hicks skit walking around because they say, oh, Kennedy, that was a long time ago, or 9/11, no, that was a long time ago. Oklahoma City, that was a long time ago. It's like, no, if you cannot address the President of the United States getting his head blown off in the middle of one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the world in broad daylight, and we're just going to act like, oh, this just one guy did it. That's what happened. The end. Give me a break. If like you know. So every time.
But I think Bill values legacy.
I do too. And that's why I don't think he wants her to be president.
No, he sees Hillary. The flip side of that is he sees Hillary as an extension of his own legacy.
She is about to destroy all of it. Do you realize? Okay, let's think about this, right? We at Anti-Media hear every single crazy conspiracy you can ever imagine. And 90% of it's just complete garbage. And you'll hear this 10% like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? This ain't good. Wouldn't believe that. But yeah, excuse me. What was I saying?
Nothing to get choked up about.
I know.
90% of conspiracy theories the anti-media gets is ridiculous, and the other 10 are probably a little more believable.
Yeah, I don't know.
And prior to that, you were talking about how bad is Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, man. I still completely lost our train of thought. That's okay. As I cough, but...
Well, she, unfortunately, her name and the Clintons themselves, they can be brought up into a number of so-called conspiracy theories that most of us know to unfortunately be true and correct. But the media and Mr. Trump may be the one.
I know exactly what I was going to say.
Bring him to light.
Is that okay? We hear a lot of conspiracy theories at Anti-Media, and it was a less than a month old story going around that Ted Cruz's father had hooked up with Lee Harvey Oswald in New Orleans and was passing out pamphlets over the Cuba situation and communist. So, like he went to, like Donald Trump went to that, and that was just that recent of a story. There was like no history behind it, not a lot of fact other than like a picture or two. But, you know, well, that's not true either because he was living in the area at the time. But still, new story. Do you know the facts we know about the Clinton? We're not talking about month-old stories here. We're talking 30-year-old stories that we have heard every way up and down. And we all know Vince Foster. We all know what Bill's been doing. We all know. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton or Donald Trump will say every bit of it and then some.
But
he will go to every crazy conspiracy on these people. And he's sure going to say the real stuff like Vince Foster and all these people that have been off.
But that's not news. That's not.
But nobody's ever said it to their face.
I don't think that's true.
Who? In a public forum? Outside of some kid getting hauled out going, don't tase me, bro?
Yeah, nobody probably with the notoriety that Donald Trump has. And probably in this particular setting. I can only imagine the whammies that we're going to hear coming out.
And I'm asking more than, trying to phrase a statement in a question. But when did Vince Foster happen? Was that in the first 4 years of Bill's?
That was... Well, yes, but there was a lot to go on with other murders throughout the year, too.
But then if that's the case, then it was already something that's been used against the Clinton in a campaign. So now you want to go back to a story that
he died. Hold on.
If that is the case, then you'll be.
I'm going to double check this. I'm not going to be wrong about this because I could be.
But even if it is, I mean, Donald Trump, if he knows.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I was right. He died so it was 93. But Bob Dole didn't go there.
But that's not to say that the RNC did not go there.
I don't remember it being brought up at the time, really. But I was young, so I can't say. But that was fresh. You know how this stuff is when it's fresh? You know, you don't touch it. You don't touch it.
Also, when it's fresh, it's still bleeding, so it's fresh in everyone's mind. And it's something that we would have to take a look at. But if that was... I have trouble believing that wasn't something that was brought up in the 96 election cycle.
Bob Dole was an idiot, first off. And then you have to remember, okay, last night I heard Sean Hannity talking, and of course he's like, oh my.
Bob Dole was probably the last viable Republican candidate that wasn't a Bush up until now. So he may,
McCain, though, but you got to remember McCain was popular at one point. He was considered like a moderate and considered cool in 2000.
Well, and
that's where that whole Maverick label came from.
He's scum too.
Yeah, his record came.
Oh, he's the worst of the worst.
Yeah. And he lost that Maverick persona because people just perceived him as another career politician from Washington. And he didn't help his case when he went and made a PR move.
One of many.
Well, like the most important move he could have made with his VP candidate, and it was.
And on top of that, do you remember he suspended his campaign for a short time to go to Washington and fight for some budget thing, and then turn around and reinstated his campaign?
Kind of.
I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that as supposedly as patriotic as he is, and all the veterans support him, and not to belittle any of the things that he went through being a hostage like he was.
I like people that weren't captured.
Right. But he's done a lot to actually stifle any kind of quest to look for any of the POWs that were left behind. He concedes and demands the fact that everybody should know that this is nothing but a conspiracy theory, that the United States has never left anybody behind. There are no POWs, prisoners of war, that were ever left behind. So, there's been a lot of people been looking for these guys for years and years, and John McCain, of all people, actually kind of held a lot of that stuff back. So he's also, there's pictures of him with members of ISIS, too.
when he went over to Syria
Oh,
to
of course.
see the rebels and make everything better.
Oh.
John McCain, and you know,
then tried to claim that was a conspiracy theory.
Oh, I know, and there's pictures. Like, yeah, that's just foolishness. But also, and you know, God forbid we speak ill of any POW that's ever done anything. Who was John McCain's father? Who's an admiral? He didn't have it as bad as other prisoners of war. I'm sure, you know, it wasn't a.
Well, the story
but they
is
treated
he had it worse. And I guess
I've heard he
you
had
can't
it.
See air quotes on radio. I'm sorry, but he had it air quotes worse because he was the admiral's son.
I've heard he had it better because he was leverage.
Well, exactly. He was leverage, and but that is that is part of the character John McCain is, and I don't want to go off on this because look,
do it.
He was captured. He did fight for his country, despite the fact that he was an admiral's son. So I don't want to discredit that.
I mean, he did go over there.
Yes, he fought, and
there was no point to be there.
And we all have friends who have fought, and being someone who hasn't had that experience, who hasn't made that sacrifice, are the men and women of our armed services are truly heroes, and that it almost seems cliche at this point, but it's true. Like,
but
I mean, some of them are kind of
off.
Well,
there's a whole Chris Kyle faction,
and we can make the argument that it attracts a certain segment of the population, but at the same time, we can make the same argument and just as factual an argument that it attracts the better part of our population, the people who are willing to sacrifice to succeed in life and aren't
I used to think that.
No, and
I used to.
No,
That's how jaded I am. Well, I don't want to think that. I don't want to believe that. I don't.
Well, I'll give you hope in saying this. We both know someone who has gone over there and sacrificed.
Yes, and they're good people.
And
I do.
Yeah.
I know multiple people that have. That's the truth.
And so,
but they've all come back. Every single one of them that I know has come back and go, guess what? We had no reason being there. Well, that was a big lie. And
when they're over there losing friends and risking their life, it's a lot easier to see through the nonsense and BS. And so, yeah, a lot of them have come back and said. But back to John McCain. Look, everything that he did from the time that he essentially stepped foot back on home soil has been calculated, has been to get him where he is, or I guess sadly for him, the peak of his career is where he was 8 years ago as a failed candidate. But
yeah, when he was, that was, him leading up to that election with Sarah Palin on his arm was the highlight of his political career.
Can you imagine? He went from I don't know if you guys know this or it's not widely reported. I think it was Rolling Stone had covered it. I read it in an article, 2 or 3 articles that were referencing the time. But he apparently had a real interesting time trying to be going through whatever military training he went through, and including wrecking some airplanes or destroying some airplanes in the process of learning. Anyways, Rolling Stone had a really good piece on some of his shenanigans. But can you imagine going from somebody that at least what Rolling Stone was kind of classifying him as to where he is now, or where he was, like we just mentioned the peak. He's running now for office, running to be president of the United States. For all intents and purposes, a lot of people really thought he had it wrapped up, that surely he was going to defeat Barack Obama, even though a lot of us kind of...
There was a time when I said John McCain, and I've established where I stand. I'm a bit of a... one of those bleeding heart liberals, and I'm an idiot for. Oh, just wait! I'm an idiot for the Democrats.
Oh, you're a moron! Are you kidding me?
But at what?
What is this craziness? Well,
somebody has to balance.
I'm about to Hulk out.
Somebody has to balance your craziness, and I'll be that. I'll be that voice. However, I was so much of an idiot at one point. I said, John McCain's the only Republican that I'll vote for.
There's a lot of Democrats that I heard say the same thing.
I'm about to Hulk out.
He's a globalist. in my opinion, just as much.
Oh, I'm about to just freak out. I'm going to right now do something that needs to happen to get me away from this conversation. I'm going to bring on journalist Claire Burnish. I'm going to let her take over.
Claire, what's up?
I don't start flipping tables over.
Buenos noches, Claire.
Howdy, y'all.
Jesus style, flipping the tables over.
Yeah, I should not be in charge.
Sorry.
What about them Clintons? Claire?
Oh, God.
Not your favorite people, huh?
Yeah, there are really no words to describe. I'm really not sure how anybody supports Hillary for president at all. Like, It does not compute. I know Trump is bad enough, but at least he kind of has this emotional stirring in his followers. Hillary is kind of like a cold, dead fish that likes to create wars everywhere. So,
Hillary is a bit of a political cyborg. It's hard to believe that she's an actual human being.
Yes.
Yeah. I get that.
She's a smooth operator. She's just as calculated as McCain.
Did I say it before we came on the radio?
And way more.
Oh, she's way more calculated than McCain. Did I say before we came on the radio, or were we on the radio? Is that, like, honestly, like, if, I've never believed David Icke's nonsense about the
I was thinking that a minute ago.
reptilian people, but it's like, if you told me the Clintons were like, well, maybe so. There's something wrong with those people.
I can't see Hillary, like, ripping her face off and being a lizard.
I could see it happening.
Yeah. It does make sense.
I could see it happening.
Well, Bill looks like he's getting ready to shed his skin.
I know. See?
He's going to just fall over any day now.
Here we are. Who would have ever thought? Crazy David Icke was right this whole time. The Clintons are lizards.
Really?
No.
In regard, lizard or not, they've got blood on their hands. That's it amazes. Claire, you mentioned a minute ago about host. You mentioned as well about people supporting Clinton. Have you guys actually met anybody supporting Clinton?
One person.
Hold on, Rob. Where are you at? Are you Bernie? Are you a Bernie?
Well, yeah, in the primaries, I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. I voted for Bernie. Yeah.
You don't have to answer the rest.
Yeah, thanks. But
it's kind of a moot point, though. She's not going to win. Bernie's not going to win. It is going to be Trump.
Bernie was more of a.
I told you, and Claire was like, "That's not." Everybody was telling me that wasn't going to happen. I told you.
Bernie
people.
was a.
No, I didn't believe you at all, and I took your challenge to write an article and figure out that he's actually going to win. And it took me over a week to do it because every time I thought I'd worked it out, it didn't seem like I'd quite proved it. But I finally figured out the missing pieces today, and it is very apparent to me. It seems almost inevitable that Trump's going to win now.
I told you. He's going to be President Daddy. Well, I tell you what, there is a chance. There's an asterisk by he's going to be president. We all know what that is, and I don't want to go there because that's, I don't want that to happen whatsoever. But it's a possibility. So that's the asterisk. But other than that, he's going to be president.
Well, and look, election cycles are always interesting. And if you're as interested as we are, they're also entertaining. This one is entertaining in the way, say, as previous elections would be entertaining in the way that, like.
Did you see WrestleMania this past year? It sucked. Yeah. This is way better.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, previous elections would be like a Downton Abbey. This election is a full-fledged, like, flaming WrestleMania circus.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it feels as if anything could happen. So I'm still, as stupid as this is, I still have a little bit of hope for a third candidate, for a third party, preferably not someone who has already been in the race. Not say like a Ted Cruz, and not necessarily a Bernie Sanders, but someone else who could you know, like I don't want to go to the polls and write somebody in. I want to cast a solid vote for a candidate.
Who? Okay.
There's going to be a third. There is, I really do think this is the wild card. This is kind of the asterisk for me on what I think that I proved with Trump being president. There's one asterisk, and that is there is a kind of a dark horse candidate in the running on the GOP side. I'm not going to name yet because I still want to look at the details and work it out, but I think that he is actually that could be the wild card player that might actually turn into a big challenge.
You're not going to say Paul Ryan, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to. It's not going to be anybody you're going to immediately guess, and you might guess it, but I don't even want to say it yet because I'm not positive. But I've been looking at the evidence, and it looks rather apparent.
Somebody they hadn't already been in, have they?
No, somebody is not. He is not even. I mean, he wouldn't even be batted around as a name necessarily. So.
Well, you could probably count the chances of him actually winning, in my opinion, or even really stir anything up is probably small.
The names I've heard are Cuban and
Mark Cuban. You laughed at the idea.
Well,
yeah.
Well, but
what
what did we do a year ago when?
That's why I said it as a serious thing.
Like
because
Mark
Donald
Cuban
Trump.
seems like the slightly muted version of Donald Trump. So yeah, if Trump
Mark
is a
Cuban
viable
would be
candidate,
Mark Cuban would be a serious candidate at this point.
No. This person is actually a very solid candidate for the party. Like, the party actually would back this person very seriously. Looking back at the evidence over a period of at least a year, he has had a number of people kind of speak on his behalf and give him free rein. This person could come from the outside and be a serious contender because the establishment doesn't want Trump. And this is where this person comes into play, but it's not a name that's been batted around like that yet.
You're just going to have to tell us. We don't care.
And you're talking about running, Claire. You're talking about him coming from the GOP, right?
Yes.
Actually, a Republican challenger.
Yeah, and he actually, if they do that with this person, if the GOP goes for this person and kind of usurps Trump in the convention or something, then that would actually give Hillary another chance too. So that's a concern. But
McConnell? Is Boehner or McConnell either one of them?
Nope.
I don't think Boehner would be a viable candidate at this point.
No.
And I don't think Mitch McConnell would be either.
No. Who is? If it's not Romney, I don't know. Kevin?
All I want, can I just say for the record?
Yeah.
I just want my Jeb back.
Yeah.
He was
so sweet.
Yeah.
Exclamation point and all.
I know. I never thought, who would have ever thought, 365 days ago, if you would have said I'd be sitting here just talking about Jeb Bush like he's a chia pet.
Yeah. There's a very interesting theory going around on the internet. Not really, but there's a guy on YouTube that I mentioned to you last week, and he's got this song about Jeb, and in it, the premise is Jeb is actually an alien, and he just wants to prove that he's a regular guy. So he wears a particular software company's branded watch, and he uses that same company's cell phone and their particular laptop, and it's so endearing. And I think he's right. I think Jeb is an alien.
Jeb Bush, his brother was real stupid, but Jeb Bush was so bad that I never thought was feasible is I had sympathy.
Yeah. Oh.
I had sympathy for the most evil people in the world because I looked at this man, and this is where the real sympathy came from. Forget how embarrassing it was. This is where it came from. I said to myself, can you imagine being raised by George H.W. Bush? Can you imagine that life? It's like Michael Jackson all over.
He practically is an alien.
Yeah, so you're it's not really his fault, is it? He was raised this way.
And his older brother...
Yeah, and that's what I was really felt bad for him. It's it's not really his fault. He was raised by psychopaths.
Yeah. When you have to get your warmth and affection in life from Barb.
But he was so stupid it made him human. And when he was human, I said, those people hurt you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's come here, Jeff.
This conversation can't be happening.
No, I have publicly stated that I would throw my full support behind a O'Malley, an O'Malley Jeb ticket. Like I would
for comedy purposes, I would
go hard for that. Yeah.
I wouldn't argue that for just pure laughter. I mean, we've got Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in front of us. I would just go for that.
Yeah, I would rather vote for the oddballs,
Yeah.
the odd couple, than yeah.
Oh,
2016. What's the words now? Dank or what's the cuck word?
Oh,
man?
this election is on fleek, I believe is what the
Fleek,
kids would
is
say.
that the word?
This election is on
what's
fleek.
that?
I don't know.
I saw it on YouTube.
What does cuck mean? Is that a bad word?
You really want to know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
It's probably not good to discuss on.
I don't know what it means.
The original.
Does it? Did you say CUCK?
Yeah.
There's only. I think I might.
People are being called cucks now, but a lot of people don't realize what the term literally.
Yeah, I see that term all the time. I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, that doesn't come from a good place. You don't want that.
Okay.
There's a fuller word. There's
it's a 2-syllable word.
Right.
It's a 2-syllable world as well, but
you're right.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
Okay.
It's totally not safe for work.
Yeah. Well, if I wasn't, such a old man in a young man's body, maybe I'd be hip to this kind of stuff. But
imagine a guy. Dude,
I just got done talking about how great Sam Cooke was a second ago, so I'm pretty out of touch with what the kids are doing.
Oh no, good. You're good. You're good.
So,
Claire, I'm sorry, you were saying something relevant.
No, I wasn't. But I did want to talk about this Russia thing, because talking about who's going to be installed next president and who's going to have their hand on the button is really relevant to this. So
I want to go ahead, and it's not just this Russia thing. We actually have a story on the front page of the antimedia.org right now. Former NATO commander warns U.S. barreling towards war with Russia. And Claire...
And the byline is...
The West is currently on a direct
course.
Well,
no, Claire, I was going to say, I think Claire...
I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
Whatever. You're fired. Robbie's first. Hey, it's the first time Robbie's been fired. Hey, it's the first time Robbie's been fired. That's a
slam.
They've all been fired a bunch.
I think I've been safe so far.
Have you not been fired yet?
Oh, I shouldn't have said anything.
Get out of line. I want you to. So anyway, back to this story. Yeah, Claire. So former NATO commander warns U.S. barreling towards war with Russia, and it really does appear like, this isn't just war with Russia. This is a potential World War III. Give us your opinions on the situation and tell us a little bit about the story.
So this former NATO commander has enough, obviously, he has enough experience with geostrategic positioning and such to kind of get an idea of what's going on. And he is taking a leap by saying this, but he actually puts forth the idea that NATO's positioning around kind of the outskirts of Russia, around its borders, particularly in between Europe and Russia, and Balkan states and everything, indicates that it's intimidating Russia, even though they're acting like it's a defensive measure against Russia, and Russia is not taking that well and will likely strike back. And the way that Russia wants to strike back is by taking back over some of its disparate states that have separated, kind of to prevent being completely encircled by NATO countries and basically nation-states that are now adversaries. It goes against the NATO policy back in 1997 that said specifically that Russia and the West are not adversaries. But obviously with events that have happened recently with the flybys in, the open sea and stuff, things are not going that well. And if you look at there are a number of pipelines going on, basically through Turkey and Syria and in that area that Russia has a stake in and that Europe wants to have a part of, then there are plenty of reasons for this to kind of tip off. And the problem is that this former commander thinks that Russia basically is trigger happy and could very easily start nuclear war. But if you look at the events and you look at the way that particularly the U.S. has situated bases all around Russia, it's actually more likely that the U.S. would instantly trigger nuclear war. So this is really looking dangerous.
I just don't see, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend, I'm Henry Kissinger. Thank God. How y'all kill me. But it doesn't seem like Russia's been the aggressor in any way, shape, or form in the situation.
Definitely not towards the West.
Right.
No, not at all. Not at all. And that's the thing. It's obviously, if you look at the way that this is happening, it is.
Bring up Ukraine and have that argument.
Well, I really wasn't even going to go with Ukraine. I mean, that's kind of debatable too. About
right. I would debate that. But if the West, there's nothing.
But the West is being aggressive and acting like they're putting forth this premise of acting defensively when they're actually acting aggressively because they're defending basically the rights to natural gas. And they're defending the rights to the resources in the region in the Middle East, but also like in the Baltic states. So it's really an act of aggression, mostly on the part of the U.S., but with the backing of NATO. And obviously, Russia would have a right to defend itself. I don't think that the West is going to like make some crazy move and kind of jump into Russia or do anything like that. But if they keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, really anything can happen. So this commander's theory is not all that off base. He puts up a specific timeline that it's going to kind of set off about a year from now. I don't know that I would go that far and say specifically that it's going to happen a year from now, but I could definitely see like his theory actually playing out.
I mean, I could see it. Think about how, I mean, I hate to bring up the name, but remember when Mitt Romney said in 2012, running against Barack Obama, what was the biggest geopolitical threat to the United States? Or the biggest threat to the United States? And he said Russia, and Barack Obama laughed him out of the room.
And I think he was right to. Oh, dude, I mean, still, Russia does not pose the territorial United States an issue now. When they say,
here's what I'm saying to you, that should have been the tip-off. Because we all know who Romney's in with. That somebody is it the Bill Kristols of the world? I don't know. Somebody is got their sights set in that direction.
Russia has leverage in the sense that it has the power to back and ally with other countries that would actually pose a threat with Russia's backing.
And they actually did. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
NATO exists to suppress Russia and Pacific powers like China. At this point, I would not say Japan. But when it comes to a war with Russia, we've already gone through a Cold War with Russia, and I don't think that's possible to do a second Cold War.
No, I don't either.
But
sorry.
No, go ahead, Claire.
I mean, that's kind of the point. It's like this is kind of Cold War II, and because nothing really came of the first one, and because now we have this interest in the natural resources in, that whole region, the whole other side of the world, that's why this might really play out. And we have actually, back to the Mitt Romney point, we actually have said, I think it might have even been Obama who said that Russia poses a bigger threat than even the jihadist terrorists that we are supposedly at war with. And to say that is so kind of contrary to everything, to reason and logic. I mean, it seems as if we're setting up a reason to go to war with Russia over natural resources. It's like we're setting up a defense that shouldn't exist because it doesn't.
Do you think that this, in any way, shape, or form, could tie into even back to the Wesley Clark thing, where the ultimate goal was to get into Iran? Obviously, if the United States even kind of went into Iran right now, Russia would just go crazy. So do you think the United States are just trying to go ahead and take the head off the dragon and then they can just do whatever they want after that?
I don't think Russia is the head of the dragon.
I think when it comes to Iran in that situation, I mean, you have China. I mean, that's the thing. It's going to come. They're going to come together.
But you guys remember, it was just a few, well, I guess a little bit longer than a few months ago now, during the Sochi Olympics. There was actually Saudi Arabia. One of the guys over there had made I forget, one of the head speakers for him. It wasn't the king, one of his emissaries, I guess, lowers, had made the claim basically. No, I'm sorry. It was, I believe, the king, but he was in a meeting, and he had passed on and made a comment, something to the effect that they control Hezbollah, and that they would easily they were
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, right. They were if they were talking about Russia, aggression of Russia getting involved with Syria. This has been, when really Syria still really started getting first hot. And Russia actually said they would respond. If that happened, Russia would respond by actually bombing Israel in return.
Because Russia knows the situation.
Oh, right. It was a threat to the United States as well.
Oh, of course.
Right.
That's an actual threat.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, and Russia has been pissed off, I think, about the situation, about the Islamic terrorist situation as well. We're obviously, the U.S. has just thrown the U.S., the powers that be have thrown caution to the wind as far as the Islamic terrorist issue. Fund them all, and now they're going to tell us that Russia is the greater threat, like Claire was saying.
But that, like, the thing with, particularly with when we're talking about the Islamic State or whatever, Daesh, Russia really did. If you listen to firsthand accounts, and of course there's some debate because we're obviously not getting the full story over here, but if you listen to some of the firsthand accounts, Russia came in and targeted specific people to have the least amount of civilian casualties possible, and in 1 month did what the U.S. has not done in a year. There's a reason the U.S. has not done more with Daesh in a year. It's because they're trying mainly to protect these pipelines and this, like, natural gas and the oil interests in the region. It has nothing to do with fighting terrorism. It's a total facade for what's really going on. And Russia knows that, and they're playing up on it, and they're winning over local populations in various regions in the Middle East because they are actually targeting the terrorists.
Well, never mind the whole the angle of it that Russia is actually protecting Assad as well, where the U.S. and the Western allies, of course, want to see Assad overthrown, right? And who else better to do that is better positioned than Daesh rebels that are already in, that are trying to accomplish that.
Look, that's a business. That's like opening a business, I think. And I think the United States says, okay, we've got Iraq open. We're working over there. That's good money for us. And then now we're trying to get into Syria. We're going to operate there, and they're, they can have the constant warfare. And as long as you keep funding the enemy and you're fighting the enemy back and forth, and you just keep going forever when you're not really trying to beat them. But when you get somebody in there like Putin, it's just like, okay, I was invited in here and they want us to get rid of these people. Let's do it. And since the United States has zero intention of getting rid of anybody, because they just want constant warfare until at least they can get Assad out, because that's what their ultimate goal is. But they're going to keep constant warfare after that. Look at Iraq. It's not like they get what they want, because they got Gaddafi out, they got Saddam Hussein out, and both of those countries are just flourishing, aren't they? So, they get the chaos. And when they get the chaos, it's just perpetual war, and that's the business, perpetual war. I mean, it goes back, it's Orwellian.
Well, that chaos benefits.
Yeah,
it benefits power over the resources of the land. That perpetual war gives us a presence there.
Oh, sure. There's tons of benefit.
Right. But I'm not saying I don't necessarily think that Russia's. I don't think that Russia is there to. Their interests are the same as ours as far as. They won't control.
Sure, they're just playing a different. They're just playing a different strategy. That's it. Of course, they've got the same interest, but they don't have. Think about how much we control and how much they control. Like, they have Syria and they have Iran. I mean, is that it? Like, that's it, right?
Well, as long as they control the resources in those countries, they also have a lot of money, as well as the resources in their own country. And Russia is vast. Now, when you team that with a China or another Pacific power, that's where the threat comes in. And, there's
something else to consider, too. There's a report out that the military has purchased 177,000 bulletproof armor plates.
I saw that.
Nearly $93 million worth. And the thing with this is the last time there was a major deployment of troops, the number of armor plates and stuff was about, I don't know, a quarter of that amount. So it appears like the possibility that there is about to be major military action somewhere, it appears that's on the horizon. So this news about Russia and the news about NATO accepting another state and all of this wrangling suddenly becomes very pertinent.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that could be in front of us. I think the worst case scenario is if there is whatever the cause is, whether it's, we can go down that road, but if there's a cyber terror attack and the grid goes down, I think it'd be chaos. I think that's the worst case scenario. Outside of that, I think we deal with it.
Well, I think in 2001, the worst case scenario would have been a physical attack on a city like New York. If we went through that.
But it doesn't benefit Russia to attack the United States in that way. Russia's done well to bring up, Russia's got a lot of fans around the world now, and a lot of people are looking up to Putin.
I would go to China on that, because especially with the way that Trump is just being big and bad on China. Look, he's screwing with their economy. He's screwing with a lot. They've got something invested in what he's saying, and people are forgetting that this massively rich, massively powerful world power he's talking crap about.
Well, and China just spoke up too, and have said that they're going to, they're ready and they're willing to respond if the U.S. keeps getting testy over there in the seas. Right. It's not like he's talking about Turkmenistan, Crane, some BS country you've never heard of. He's talking about China. They will.
Yeah,
people
it's China and Russia. I mean, these are major powers, and they're not necessarily fully aligned. But I tell you, if we keep pushing it, that wouldn't take long for them to be aligned and with Iran. And I know that anything could happen at that point. And I guess just listening to this former commander, the way that he describes what's going to take place, and if you look at what NATO has been doing just in the past week with the deployment, I mean, they have a major military training exercise going on in Poland, which is right there next to Ukraine. I mean, all of these things are going on right now, and then this report of all this body armor being ordered by the military. It really looks like there's a major move about to happen, and all we're doing is talking about the election. And it's like, yeah, it matters who's going to be installed as leader, but if something happens before then, we could really, it could be a different story altogether.
And let's not forget all the hype that they're doing with Iraq right now, too. I mean, they're going straight back in there. I'm telling you, it's happening. They're not blinking.
I tell you, one thing that I can't help but lingers in the back of my mind. We were talking about the Clintons earlier. It looks like it's going to come down to Clinton versus Trump. Who do you think is more anti-war there?
Wow.
Well, let me put it this way: for all the issues that Donald Trump has flip-flopped on, he has long been opposed to war.
I can't honestly answer that, but if I had to guess, I would say Trump.
Yeah, he's spoke out about NATO and opposition to NATO, at least from a financial standpoint, and the role of the U.S. as, of course, the world's policeman. Now, I know that's always what politicians do, and of course they get into office and then completely changes.
In all truth, how much decision making do you think Trump would really have in something like that? He's not going to go in there and Ron Paul out. He's not going to go in there and say they're all coming home.
Oh no, of course not. I don't think Ron could have done that either. But
I think
it wasn't too long ago when Trump actually said that he was going to punch Putin in the face, and then I think it was between 5 days, 7 days, almost about a week's time, Putin came out and said that he liked that man.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, Putin sounds a little more respectful. At least I think he probably respects Donald Trump on some degree.
I saw a picture of Vladimir Putin riding a bear today. A bear.
Oh, there's pictures of him riding
Yeah.
I saw one.
He knows propaganda
actually.
better
Oh,
than
yeah.
anybody that's ever walked our planet.
Oh, sure.
You ain't lying.
Can you imagine Donald Trump riding on the back of an eagle?
Oh, I know Vladimir Putin is a scumbag. There's no telling the horrible, evil stuff that man has done. No telling. But you know what? From where I sit, how he positions himself, if you're not paying attention to who he really is, you see, he's got Edward Snowden. Oh, that's a good thing. He can ride bear. He does karate. He's like Elvis. Just got running everything.
He's a master of karate and friendship.
Judo.
Propaganda. That's what he is. But he's KGB. So he's a step ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Look at he courts his people, too. I mean, that's one thing that he's figured out that the U.S. leaders just simply have forgotten. I mean, he makes all these concessions that kind of satisfy the people, like getting rid of genetically modified food and all this other kind of crap. I mean, he makes these concessions for the people all the time, and largely, not entirely, of course, but largely keeps them fairly happy. And that's going to win support.
Of him, and I know, of course, there's a big majority, especially with the whole his stance on you can't be gay in his country, basically. I know there's pushback on stuff, but, I think for the most part he keeps people happy. And then there's the younger generation. I think he's pissing the younger generation off more than anything. That's where he's going to have his problem. Like the Clintons, though. The Clintons used to be hip and cool. No more. They're the establishment now.
Well, that's where the youth of Russia, that's who they're really pushing back against. It's not so much Putin as the establishment of Russia.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the statist in everybody that you hear talking when they talk so highly of Putin.
I think so.
I mean, really. I mean, he's still. I mean, things are. I'm a little surprised to hear a lot of people say that they love. There's a difference between loving Putin. I can see people loving Putin but hating what the government's doing.
He's a WWE character too. That's all he is. That's all any of them are.
Oh, he's a great character.
It's a big show.
He's that kind of like stereotypical.
He's kind of a stone cold. He's on the outside. He's against everybody.
I can see him back in Ivan Drago. I could totally see him in whatever Naraki that was.
Yeah,
I have a healthy respect for his. He's highly intelligent. He has incredible strategy, and he's kind of a cool and collected character. Like, I am absolutely sure that he probably does a lot of very bad things. But I have a healthy respect for the fact that he actually he's not just a bag of hot air.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, cheating on your wife and having a baby with another woman is probably not the moraliest.
Burning, like chemically burning your political opponent's faces off. That's kind of not cool.
That's it.
But it's not. It's not. I mean, like I am anti-state. Period. I don't really respect any of these people. But what I do respect is the fact that he actually tries to do.
No,
strategic. I mean, compared to our leaders these days, I mean, I don't know. There's a difference.
He's a better chess player. He don't care no more than anybody else.
I mean, their media's controlled.
I'm not saying he cares, not by far.
But when he plays the game in a way that benefits some of his people, he's probably Claire, I see your point. In a way, he's doing more than what our people are doing.
Oh. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, he's trying to placate his people way better, and our people care less here.
Yeah,
here it's like we got super delegates, bitch.
Well, we also.
It's not. I'm not saying he's a great character again, and that's not it. It's just that he actually has intelligence, and he's collected on how he plans things. I mean, if anybody else would do what we have done to Russia, like let's say that somebody was doing that to our country and was ringing the U.S. with a bunch of bases, like 800 military bases or something, we would not be as calm and collected about that. We would already be in an all-out war. So what I'm saying is that he has some strategic ability and some restraint, and I think that is at least something to respect. That doesn't mean admire, that just means respect.
He's, like I said, better chess player. He's a better character. He's a cooler character on TV. That's how I look at it. I like his I like his shtick better.
I think if Putin was a character on Game of Thrones, I think he would be I would be down with
Right, see?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't watch that show. It's pretty rapey, but
yeah.
It's a rapey show.
It does happen.
Yeah. But that's kind of the world we live in. Like, we live in the world where we talk about House of Cards, or we talk about Game of Thrones, and we talk about this theater, and like what's really going on in front of us is like crazier.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
It's far better theater, and it actually.
What is it? Black Mirror? Am I getting that right?
Yes, you're
and
right.
then David Cameron.
Yeah.
And supposedly they had nothing to do with each other. And the writer that wrote it, he
Right.
was just like, I had no idea. It's just complete coincidence. I mean, we're living in like theatrical times.
It's a theater of the absurd.
Yeah, you're right.
It is. I mean, do you know how many jokes have been made for decades about Donald Trump becoming the president? Like, that was the most absurd thought anybody could say. And it's happening. Like, we're living in this world. Like, somebody starts shaking me. Like, am I in a dream? Like, is this really happening? Donald Trump's going to be the president of the United States? That's where we're living. That's where culture's at. Whether it's, the show is the show, but culture, look at people. The people's what scares me, not so much the candidates. It's the Bernie people that are just worshiping at his feet. And the same with Trump. Good grief. Just worship at his feet. People, I think Donald Trump tomorrow could come out as a Satan worshiper and still all the evangelicals would talk themselves into it.
Satan
somehow.
worshiping would be like immediately the third largest religion. Yeah,
it would be like, well, I think he can fix the economy. Like, I don't know what they would say. I don't know how they would convince themselves, but I think it would happen.
But really, shouldn't that be? I mean, the way we look at things, that's kind of what the Tea Party, when it first got started, it was about taxes, and it evolved into a bunch of other stuff that it kind of imploded into what it has done now. I mean, I understand your angle for it about it, Scott, but yeah, and I completely agree. He could definitely do that. He could probably come out with this wall thing and tell everybody 2 or 3 years into it that, look, he studied this from every angle. He's got the best national security people on this. He's determined that it would actually be, for whatever reason, somehow against America's best interest to put up a wall, and everybody who was for it, I believe, would probably buy it.
No, yeah.
Absolutely.
They trust Trump that much.
He's already.
That's what makes him dangerous.
Yeah,
agreed.
I mean, that's what turns a demagogue into a fascist dictator, right there.
I mean, it goes, power corrupts, but
let me ask you, we all feared, a lot of people believed Barack Obama, but it didn't take long for people to start really even realizing that, hey, this is a sham. If Donald Trump doesn't, how long is he going to have before people start realizing, hey, we've been taken again?
They won't realize it until it's too late, in my opinion. I really think that they trust him so much, and they are so into his character, the caricature of himself that acts as him. They are so into him that they will follow him right into the fire.
Well, yeah, he has sunk his hooks into their deepest, darkest fears, their fieriest angers, and that's where he has them. And yeah, you're right, Claire. It will be so far down the line before anyone realizes that he's just someone that we gave too much power to, who is
he's the Obama of a different shade.
Yeah, he is.
Well, people you can take that whichever way you want it, but he's not going to promise, and no politician is. He's not going to be able to deliver what he promised. He's running on emotion. He's appealing to emotion.
Right.
That's not going to get anywhere. It's going to fail, I believe, obviously.
Right.
And his campaign promises are going to fail. But like America did, they voted for Obama not once, but reelected him or reelected him, but voted for him a second time. Who knows? It's a mixed up world.
I tell you what, we're going to get into this a little bit more on the second hour of Anti-Media Radio. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you very much.
I think I'm loving you in a dream. And how it goes, I am not knowing now. And though I walked, I never said goodbye. Of this song, I'm sad when it goes. I may never know. Sing this song, in this song, how sad when it goes.
That is a demo for a band called The Red Walls from Chicago, Illinois. A band, probably one of my favorite bands of all time. No one's ever even heard of. A lot of people very reminiscent of the Beatles. But back into the second hour of Anti-Media Radio. I'm your host, SM Gibson. You were listening on Thursday, May the 19th. Is that right? Am I right with the day? Who knows? I don't ever know what day it is.
Yeah, that's what the calendar says.
Oh, good. I was right for once. But going over the Clintons, the legacy of scumbags of all the politicians, usually we like to, we know it's a distraction, and they are distracting us from what appears to be World War III with Russia. We talked about that last hour as well. I want to go ahead and bring in co-host Kevin. Rob, what's up?
What's up, bro?
What's up?
And we got Claire on the line as well.
Hello.
And always listen to us on Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at ucy.tv/TAMR, or you can listen to us at the Anti-Media Radio Okay, I'm going to get it right. theantimedia.org/radio. And catch all of our replays on YouTube by searching for Anti-Media.
Check it out.
There you go. All right, back into the events of the world. I'm not going to reveal it yet, but there is a possibility that next week we could have a major guest on the program. I'm not going to say the name, but I promise you I'm not leading you on.
It's very exciting, yeah.
This is real. There is a chance we could have a huge guest surrounding the election, I guess.
Huge.
So keep tuned for that next Tuesday. Yeah, so Clintons are scumbags. I think Donald Trump's a scumbag. So what is the over-under that you think Donald Trump, I don't care, whatever, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, same room, same time? What do you think? That's gossipy, but I think it's a real question. I think they're that...
What is the question?
Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, same room. I think you can figure it out from there.
Oh,
Deviants.
Hey,
maybe not. Maybe Epstein was just a nice, normal guy.
I'll take Bill.
You'll say it did happen? No, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh, it did happen.
Yeah.
But I think Clinton was definitely involved. I think that's going to come out. I think the whole world's going to view him that way. They're going to see him as just some rapist. His legacy is going to be destroyed.
Well, even if it wasn't, if Donald Trump makes the point and drives it home for whatever reason.
He's already called the man a rapist. It's May. Well, they hadn't even started running against him.
He mentioned that. I don't know if you guys saw the context he used it in. It was in a Hannity interview. I listened to part of the clip. Hannity kind of set it up.
I actually did. I haven't watched any of that in a while, but I watched that last night.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think Donald took the opportunity, and he probably did what he normally does. He probably waited to see, hey, let me drop this little bit of hint here. Mm-hmm. Let's drop a little...
Oh, Hannity was leading him on.
Oh, yeah,
big time.
Right, definitely. So I think, he probably bought in. He went along with it. And after he's, probably decided, hey, let's see how the media goes. He drops all these these seeds of wisdom here and there. I say wisdom loosely. And then let's see what happens at the polls. Let's see how people respond with it. And if they don't like the comments I happen to make about abortions and women, I'll change my opinion.
I'll walk that back, yeah.
And then if they like it, I'll stick with it.
Right, exactly.
They like the wall. I've heard them chanting that one,
right.
So I'm sticking to that. But I think that could be any issue.
And it has been every issue.
Yeah.
How many people realize that he actually, at least, that Confederate flag, the whole business, when that was all big and booming, how many people realize that he supported the idea to take down the Confederate flag? I thought that was interesting how many people would be appalled at that, but how many people would quickly see their opinions change because Trump was the one making
they would
the
flip
claim.
in a second. He reminds me, speaking of the Confederate flag, he reminds me so much of George Wallace. because George Wallace was the most racist, evil man in the world. I still, to this day, believe that man could have cared less one way or another.
Yeah.
That man was a politician and would have done or said whatever he had to say.
And that's ironically, that's
and
actually
did not care.
Ironically, that's actually what he did.
He was a greedy man.
The speechwriter that wrote that speech, where he stood in the schoolhouse door and was talking about segregation forever, segregation. That was originally not segregation. That was actually originally freedom, is what that speech was written into. But at the last minute, it was changed to segregation, and hammered home. So I think, he's an opportunist.
Exactly.
And that doesn't make him better, or it doesn't mean like, he's not bad.
Oh, no, it doesn't mean he's not a racist either.
Because he's riling people up.
Right.
And that's what's important here, because he's still being the cheerleader for that kind of behavior. But I don't think that personal man cares one way or another.
If you look at George Wallace, early in his career and later in his life, I think both of those periods shine a little bit of a light into who he was.
Later in life.
Early in his career, George Wallace was a bit of a progressive. He lost his first election to a staunch segregationist. There's a great song on this that the drive-by truckers do, the Three Icons of Alabama. It was after that he saw the opportunity there. He changed his political ways. Later in life, he definitely tried to redeem himself.
He did later in life. But here's the thing, though. He did, but I don't want it to sound like anybody's defending any of this behavior.
What he did in office, what he did with his power was turn his back on people.
Right.
And he used that for personal gain.
That's it, because no matter what the reason was, no matter if he was an opportunist or just a straight-up racist, the effects were still the same.
Well, and
it could have been worse, probably.
Patterson Hood makes the point that George Wallace was no more racist than a lot of men in power of his time. But what he is, he's a perfect example.
I think I think Bull Connor was a real racist.
Now if you're going to talk about Bull Connor,
I think that man was a legitimate, horrible, evil, racist man.
Yeah, and he wasn't a politician. He was
right.
Have you by chance seen that armored tank, that little mini tank that he used to drive around? Is that not crazy?
Yeah. The people that used to run this heap are lunatics.
Yeah.
They still
an observation.
Reasons.
Just an observation, but you're talking about Wallace. It sounds an awful lot like you're talking about Trump.
Well,
very
that
similar.
was his point. Yeah, that was
the point. I believe George Wallace, if he wouldn't have got shot, would have ended up becoming the president when Jimmy Carter did, because he was a way better politician than Jimmy Carter ever dreamed of, and I think he would have wheeled his way out of all that garbage somehow if he wouldn't have got shot by Arthur Bremer.
Yeah, he would have had to take a more approachable stance on the issues
I think
of
he
the
would
day.
have flipped so fast, just to get like Trump, just like Trump. He would have changed his ways, and I think he'd have talked his way out of it. And look at Trump; he's going to end up being, let's bring all the Mexicans in. You watch.
Well, and this is a story that's been out there for a while, but and you guys may have talked about it Tuesday, but our net migration from Mexico is negative.
Oh, that's been that way for a minute.
Yeah,
though.
And so from a business standpoint, it would definitely make sense. He may build a wall, but it'll be like this giant door that essentially stretches from post to post.
He said there's going to be a door in it, so it wouldn't be a lie.
Well, the news today was I think one of his spokespersons said it. Well, it's like a it's like a it's not a physical wall. It's
I've heard that. Yeah,
it's more of like a theoretical wall. It's like a it does we're not going to build a wall, but we're going to. It's a wall around your mind,
right?
Which is a little bit different tactic that Hillary Clinton took when she actually pitched this idea years ago. Except they actually called it a fence. We didn't call it a wall; we called it a fence.
That's a lot to say. That's a better word.
It is.
A fence, you can see through a fence and shake it.
Man, I can jump
A
over
wall's-
a fence.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I ain't
Walls-
never jumped over a wall.
A wall's scary.
Yeah.
But a fence, that's nothing.
Flip, flop.
I've seen a fence.
Flip,
That's nothing.
flop.
Yeah. Walls are scary. That keeps people in. Trump wants people to know that, though. He wants people to know he's scary. At least that's what he wants people to believe. Walls. We're gonna keep them all out. We're gonna give you your guns. We're gonna keep all the brown people out. Whatever you want. He's gonna get elected. Who knows what he's gonna do? Could be completely. Who knows? He don't care. He's gonna turn his back, and I think it's gonna be hilarious when the American people flip with him. A bunch of suckers. They'll be like, "Yeah, whatever you. Yeah, we're with it."
Well,
We
Reagan
didn't need a wall.
Reagan said, they were going to have a wall too.
Oh, he reminds me so much of Reagan, this famous celebrity that used to be a Democrat. Talks about Reagan. Hey, Reagan's actually said some good stuff at one point, and Reagan flipped when he got in office and never did any of that stuff he said. But he used to rail against the Federal Reserve. He used to rail against inflation. Yeah, and then he gets in there and look, government triples in size. But I think that's the same with Trump. He can say all that stuff that some of these, especially the Alex Jones crowd, it's really resonating with them. That it's, he's the guy that's going to come in. He's going to fix the Federal Reserve. He's going to pull us out of all the wars. All this great stuff. You don't know nothing about
right,
that
like he's the
man.
second coming of Ron Paul. Huh?
Right, you don't know nothing about that man. So
He's not a game changer.
Even less about the system.
He's a game player.
Mm-hmm. But that's not how a lot of people are seeing it. I guess if you want to roll the dice, good for you. But I don't think that's the move to make, because when was the last person you saw run for president that you trusted, really, that really had a chance to become president?
Well, in kindergarten, we had a school vote, and I actually voted for Clinton because Nickelodeon was pushing that Clinton was I think he won the Kids' Choice Award that year. So that's about the only time I can actually remember trusting, which I wasn't old enough to be able to have the idea of distrust.
Trump,
right.
Well, no, if Hillary got slimed at the Kids' Choice Awards this year, do you think that would push her over the top?
With the kids, probably.
Yeah.
Somehow Trump would take credit. Somehow Trump would angle that to his benefit.
Good point.
Yeah, so I think it would still go Trump. But he's a I think he's brainwashing people and they don't realize it. I really do. Like, I think he's lulling them into this sleep that he can get away with doing whatever he wants, good, bad, or ugly, and people are going to just do it. And I think it's important to say this, because Hillary's evil. Look, I'll sit here and talk about the Clintons all day long, but that doesn't mean that Donald Trump is the savior of anybody.
Donald knows how to play the game, and he has so much confidence in the way that he plays the game that he realizes, and he's said as much, that there's very little that he could do that are going to hurt him points wise.
Not a lot. I don't know that there is a lot anymore.
No, and I feel the same way.
Because he is going to go off the ledge when it comes to the Clintons. He is going to, I'm telling you, we can't, as crazy as, like, creative as I get about it, and I'm like, this is going to happen. Like, I think it's going to go past that. I don't know what the man's going to say.
But when speaking to the people who matter, speaking to moderate swing state voters, what they will hear is Donald Trump saying ridiculous things that will be relatively easy for the Clintons to spin in their favor.
Never.
Or at least against.
Never. He's going to win. If we make it to November, 48 to 50 states. I'm telling you, it's going to be.
No,
yeah.
No, there's no way.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, after studying everything that I did for the one article that's not yet published, and after seeing the poll today where Trump polls higher than Hillary.
And I don't care what the media tells you. I don't care if they go up to the day before saying it's 50-50 race. When it goes down, I don't care how it's going to be. There ain't no rigged coming, because it's going to be that there's going to be nothing they can do. It's going to be like, look, they did it with, compare them again. But Reagan, they said, oh, Reagan, this is close, this is close, this is close. 49 states, was it, Kevin? 48 states he won? I mean, just beat the dog crap. And it's going to happen again.
And he brought together Republicans and Democrats. And
I'm telling you, we're repeating history. And I think we're going to see the same thing with the drug war like we did Reagan. I think Trump's going to go in. Who knows? Who knows? Because I don't believe anything Trump says, good or bad. I don't know what he's going to do. I can't say I know. I really can't. It's just all a hunch. I don't believe anything he says. And we have nothing to go on. That's the difference with him and everybody else.
Yeah, we have no physical record.
All right.
Yeah. As much vitriol is directed towards Hillary, it's not that I don't see Donald Trump winning. At this point, honestly, who knows? And while you can make comparisons between Trump and Reagan, Trump is a completely different candidate.
He is. He's the 2016 version, kind of.
Well,
we still lived in kind of a Bear Bryant, John Wayne era, and we don't anymore. Yeah. Now we live in like I say, a post-Kardashian society, and that's who it is. That's Donald Trump.
No, you may be right. I guess.
But what we're going to get, I don't know. You know, like I said, Reagan said one thing and did something completely different. So, you know, I don't know. Claire, your reaction to all that, and then we'll get into actual real news.
I think that, you know, you've said it before, like, we know what we're getting with Hillary. We know, I mean, well, apart from all her lies, we know that she's a war hawk, and we know that she's going to just be horrible. Trump, we really don't know. And the problem with Trump is, and I think that's probably the last time I'm going to say it, the fact that we don't know what he's going to do, and the fact that he feeds so, like, intently off of his following and whatever it is that they latch onto means that he is the most dangerous candidate out there. He will do anything when he gets in office, and he will feed, I mean, he's an egomaniac. He's a demagogue. His ego feeds off of his followers. So anything that he kind of throws out there, because, you know, he'll say anything, if they latch onto it and it happens to be something very dangerous, that's what's going to be in place. And I think that's what makes him the absolute wild card. It makes him like a total totalitarian. It changes the entire landscape of politics in this country and government in this country. And I think that people need to be prepared for anything and take it more seriously than they are doing.
Okay, this is the thing that I would love to challenge Trump supporters with. Do you not believe that what's the saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Do you not think that Trump is you think he's above that somehow? Like you think he's really he's rich? Yeah, how do you think he got rich? Like you think he's above taking advantage of a situation? Like he's going to get power? Do you think he's just going to give it right back to the people? I mean, maybe that's what people have convinced themselves, but I don't think that's human nature. I don't think that's what people, because we all know, because you can say, well, Ron Paul. At no point did I ever hear, hate or love Ron Paul say, I want power too. He said, I want to give away. You can love it or hate it, but that was the message. This is Donald Trump saying, I want the power because I can fix it because I'm the man. And nobody else can do it. Give me the power and I'll... That's it. That's the difference. Give me all the power and I'll take care of all the problems.
The one safety valve that I hope we have is that Donald Trump seems like someone who more than anything is a self-interested person.
Very much so.
So it would behoove him to, being a player in a larger game, I think it would behoove him. Stability is something that he would benefit from. But then again, he also seems like an egomaniac who, yeah, you're right. Like, maybe absolute power will just blow his mind. So, yeah, I think he's I think he's dangerous because of what he speaks to and what he would be beholden to by creating this core support. He's creating a core support of essentially hatred. And once he does that, he realizes that it's that hatred, and it's hatred that has brought him to this power, so it's hatred that he has to continue to feed to stay in power.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, as much as I would like to think that there's this, safety valve on the back of...
I will say this, though. He's enough of an egomaniac that I think everybody here can see him getting in there and being like, screw everybody who supported me.
Yeah. That's he's a wild card who we have no idea what... But, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah. I can also see him like sprouting horns and wings and stuff and shooting fire and being like, I am Beelzebub.
That'd be
like, that's something that could happen.
He is orange.
Yeah, and he didn't get that way.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Yeah.
He looks like he's been rolling around in ravioli.
Yeah.
He does. With that blonde hair, it's like cheese.
He looks like a spray tan.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we could go on about this forever and ever and ever, and there's nothing we're going to do to change it. That's the scary thing.
Yeah, that's what's
scary. I mean, we can sit here, but
are we powerless?
I don't think we are. We're not, because you know what? It takes all of us. It doesn't, I understand that people are just like, well, I'm just doing it. And then you get of course, you get people just believing, well, if I get on my Facebook and I post my opinion and my friends get pissed, I've done my duty.
Right.
I guess, fair enough. That's good. Because you're at least, trying to, maybe one person will see that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and as futile as it may seem,
right? There's nothing too small.
Maybe it's social media that is our.
Social media has changed the game 100%. We wouldn't know half of the stuff we know.
It's that infrastructure that grants us that,
and that's the power with people, and that's something for the first time in the history of the human race, people are connected all over the world. I was thinking this the other night. I can literally pick up my phone and type to somebody on the other side of the planet and they get it immediately. I can call and hear their voice on the other side of the planet, and I could be anywhere because I have the cell phone.
Well, if you've got a laptop and they have a laptop, you can see their face.
You can see their face. That's how interconnected we are. So yes, people can get together. Like, this has changed the game. If we lived in a different era, nothing we know about 9/11 we would know. Not any of it. It would be Kennedy.
But if we lived in a different era, we wouldn't have been able to watch it live.
That's true. But people watched it live and believed it. They said, I saw a plane at the Pentagon. Well, if you did, show me. That's fair enough. If you saw it, that's great. I'm waiting to see that picture. Not going to say it wasn't there. I'm just saying I still hadn't seen it to this day. And if you've got it, let me see it. That's all I know. I wasn't there when it happened, but I still hadn't seen pictures of it. So if somebody can go ahead and correct that, it'd be great. I'm going off on a tangent, Claire. Why don't you pull us back in with some actual intellect and news?
That's putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, it seems like there's so much been going on.
I mean, I can just keep driving this into the ditch. That's okay with me. I would like not to, though.
Well, okay, I guess, let's see. I'm trying not to talk about the elections because I think it's just kind of inundating everything.
No, it really legitimately is history, and it's like we're living in remarkable times. And I think especially the one point to hammer on that we did talk about more in depth in the first hour. So if you're hearing all this nonsense we're saying now, if you want to go back and listen to the replay on YouTube and listen to the first hour, we were talking about what a distraction that the election is from, and that is that we are right now in a global kind of a warm war, cold, I don't know what you call it, lukewarm, with Russia, but a lot going on in the Middle East, and then China could be getting pulled into it. Just a lot of Putin and the United States trying to drag us into war, blaming it on Russia, the overthrow of the Middle East, Iran,
lots of Putin,
Saudi Arabia, Syria, Iraq. We're still in Afghanistan, by the way. Libya, Yemen. Like, I'm still naming places.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still naming places, by the way.
And they're just the most active places, too, because it's everywhere.
Like, is that not a problem to anybody?
Yeah, that's an extreme problem.
And that's what we're living with. And yet we have these politicians get up there in front of it and say, well, I'm only going to bomb 3 countries instead of 8. Barack Obama has now been at war longer than any president ever in the history of the United States. And we're going to look back on that man as a peaceful president. Because we don't know what's coming, and we know what came before him.
You know, you brought up a good point. We can connect with anybody anywhere in the world, and yet, and like, a wealth of information. I mean, anything that you want to know pretty much is right at our fingertips, and yet people refuse to see what is actually going on in the world, what's actually going on, you know, geostrategically and militarily, and what is actually being done by our country and other countries, and what the reasons for those things, and it's inexcusable.
We can see so much, and yet we see so little.
Yeah.
But we have things to distract us.
We see what we want to see.
Exactly.
You said it's a distraction.
I've got the satellite television. I've got YouTube. I've got all these other things that I would rather be blinded by than to actually.
Here's the thing with and I think because look, I'll sit here and I'll talk about the WWE, and we all know I'm going to watch Alabama football. Here's the problem. People let that become their lives. They let that surround everything. Like, they tune everything else out, and that's their world. They don't know anything else that's going on, but they can tell you what happened on American Idol last night. I don't have a problem. And I know there's a lot of activists, well, how dare you take part in that? I know it's a distraction, but you know what? You can't just drive yourself crazy looking at all the horrible things that go on in the world all the time.
Right, yeah.
So go do that stuff. That's great, but don't go to sleep either.
Right.
You need to pay attention and still know what's going on. So, take that for what it's worth. I'm sure I had a point at some point, but I'm just,
Oh, no.
I'm just trying to figure out how I really don't, distract myself at all with anything. I have no problem with people that do that, and I actually don't even have a problem with people who that's their life. If, when presented with information, they're willing to consider it and actually investigate further.
Oh, I completely.
It's the people who make that their life, who refuse to examine the truth or refuse to believe, what might be another possibility to what they've been told. That's when I have a problem.
Well, think about all the people that actually do make politics their life and are the most closed-minded, don't know anything about anything. Somewhere, I still hadn't met them, but somewhere there is an actual Hillary Clinton supporter, like a real one. And they believe it. Like, they believe whatever nonsense it is.
I know some very quiet ones.
Real ones?
Yeah. Like 2, I think they're real people.
They're not. Not real.
I've met one of them in person, but I'm not sure if this Facebook.
It was Chelsea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we go back.
Because we know Bill's not going to vote for it. I say he's not.
No.
He's definitely voting for Trump. I guarantee you, he has been more intimate with Trump than he has with Hillary in the past 20 years. I said it.
I don't even. I'm going to go now.
Oh, man.
Breaking news.
Well, I just like riling people up. Who knows? There's no proof of any of those things I just said, but why can't I yell them? Why can't I just scream that stuff? Alex Jones screams the craziest stuff in the world and acts like it's like real.
Yeah.
So why can't I say that?
That's actually...
Well, you can. I mean, the Supreme Court ruled pretty much that the news can say anything it wants.
Well, I just did.
There you go.
Donald Trump, Bill Clinton. Let's get it on. But I'm sure there were underage hookers there. I joke about this, but this is like a real topic that we should, like, I think that really probably happened. Maybe not them in the same room. That's probably, but yeah, I think Bill Clinton's done that, y'all. And I think it's going to come out he did it.
Well, people in power have used their power for various evil and scandalous things. So yeah, like it's not out of the realm of possibility. That's for sure.
I want to go ahead and say this one more time. The reason we're kind of having this conversation we're having tonight about the Clintons is next week. It's a possibility.
Do you want to break it or
no,
you?
No names.
Okay.
No names.
No names.
But I promise it's real. This is not hype, even though I am capable of doing such things. This is real.
It's my full-time job. Is I'm actually a professional hype man.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no clock. I've got to get you a clock.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's in my car.
Oh, well.
I keep a change with me just in case.
That's good. So, next week, I'm telling you huge news. Like huge.
Huge, big news.
Right. It's going to be great.
Big news.
It's going to be great. You know what we're talking about, don't you, Claire?
I do.
I'm not.
I do, and I have my fingers crossed, and I am very much looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're kind of dribbling on tonight, but I tell you what, I hate the Clintons.
Well, it's because we're all working out, getting ready for next week.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be game on.
All right.
Because there's going to be real information brought to people.
Yeah.
About these, like, yeah, it's going to be good. Because I think they're vile people. I don't know. You know who else? Ted Cruz, man, all over him. I think he's a vile person.
Well, yeah, Ted's. It's hard to find a person who knows him that, including his wife and kids, that are really excited to be around him.
Never met any of those people. Couldn't tell you.
Well, I haven't either, but
I know his dad had friends. I've seen him hanging out with this guy in New Orleans.
Yeah.
But other than that, I tell you what, I'm going to try to at least rein this in a little bit here. Did you see the story about the Philippines electing kind of their own Donald Trump?
Yeah.
But where that can lead us. Claire, your take on the situation with the newly elected Philippines president, because you actually wrote the story on right now, still on the front page of antimedia.org. You can actually go down and you don't see it on the top. You can look under popular posts this week. The Philippines just elected their own Donald Trump, and the results are terrifying. Claire, your reaction?
Yeah. There was a little bit of backlash on this, too, but I really feel the comparison is valid as kind of a portent of what could happen with Trump in office. Because Duterte was kind of this wild figure, demagogue just like Trump, and had some rather...
way crazier, though. I saw some of his campaign stuff. It was way crazier than Trump.
Yeah, it's definitely way crazier, but it's in the same vein. Like, it's kind of, he seems the same sort of, like, irrational, like, could say anything sort of character. And he said some pretty crazy stuff. And when he, after winning the election, he said some even crazier things. He wants to allow, basically, death squads to go and shoot suspected criminals on site. Things like that are just, they seem kind of, well, they are preposterous. But I think the bigger point that I was trying to make is that when you take a character where anything is possible, anything will be possible.
And
anything.
aren't we still? I mean, doesn't the U.S. and the Philippines still have a great, wonderful relationship? Aren't they still pretty close?
Well, in the sense that the Philippines are a territory,
right,
of the U.S.
Yeah.
I would say culturally, though, there's probably a bit of a disconnect.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if the U.S. government cares about love and freedom and democratic elections so much, they shouldn't be this guy that's getting in there ordering up death squads. Might want to,
but
call a timeout on that if they really cared.
And bringing on a number of communists into the administration, too.
Yeah. But I mean, like, why would we chill a relationship with a guy with death squads when we don't with the country that loves to behead people?
Oh, good point.
Because, well, of course, but at least, Saudi Arabia is probably much more of an ally than the Philippines are, even though, the names are a little bit different. But Saudi Arabia does what they want, period. Like, I don't think the Philippines could get away with, maybe they could. We may be about to see it, but I don't think up to this point anybody can get away with what Saudi Arabia's gotten away with.
Yeah,
I don't think the Philippines could have pulled off 9/11 and just been like, whatever, it's cool. It's cool. Hey, those people we hate? Why don't you go bomb them instead? That should work out for everybody. We'll come hang out with you in Crawford, Texas, while you're bombing the people we hate. I mean, that's what happened. It sounds like a complete joke, but that is literally what happens. Is Saudi Arabia, who despised Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and there was mutual feelings there. They both bad people on both sides. Bad people hating each other, but Saddam wasn't down for whatever they were doing over there. And so Saudi Arabia's involved in 9/11. We bomb their enemies. They hang out over here. It's all good. We all get rich together and laugh. And
no questions asked.
Yep, that's the dumbed down version, but that's what happened. There were a lot of lies in between, and there was George Bush trying to open a door and couldn't. But yeah, I mean.
This is why I don't understand why anybody even bothers to vote at all. I mean, there are so many reasons not to vote in protest, but seeing what this country does and the fact that it will do those things anyway and associate with the horrid people that it associates with, no matter what, why anybody would put any faith or, put their stamp of validity on an election like this is beyond me. It's beyond me.
It's such a double-sided coin because there is part of this where there is, I think, sort of an awakening where people realize there's sort of a problem because that's what both Bernie and Trump are. The reaction to, we realize there's an issue here. They just haven't figured out it's way bigger than they think. They finally at least have acknowledged the problem. It's just way, way, way bigger than they realize yet. And they still think that somebody like Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump's going to fix it. But no. And you know what? If Donald Trump was completely on his own, maybe, but he wouldn't be alive for 6 weeks. They would take him out so fast. They tried to do it with Reagan. It's another comparison. So, there's nothing that's going to... For the people that think Donald Trump is a savior, I don't think they'll ever let him... If he did the right thing. I don't think they'd ever let him get away with it.
No, of course not. Surely not. I mean, why would they? They haven't gotten this far with... I say the powers that be haven't gotten this far with I don't want to necessarily go that direction with it, but it'd be a whole lot of wasted time to suddenly just give up at this point for the powers that be.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems like honestly, I feel like it's the end of Snatch, and, a pikey reaction is quite a thing. Like, I feel like they took the whole Marco Rubio thing really lightly. Like, I really think they groomed that guy for a long time, and he was gonna be the guy.
And now we're setting the camp on fire.
Yeah, like I feel like he took that real, just like, I don't know. I just don't think they're gonna be cool with that. They put a lot of years into that kid.
Oh yeah, definitely.
A lot of grooming, and he was gonna be their PR poster child for the next 4 to 8 years.
Wasn't there a talk of some Coach Brothers money going to them? Going to when it first announced that Rubio was going to come out.
At one point, I think. But everybody was backing Rubio, and money people, all the people that supported Romney, all the establishment people were backing Rubio. The Jeb people, that was all set up to push behind Rubio to begin with.
But that's like why I'm saying that there is this other possibility. Like, since he did not work out, this groomed character, there is actually somebody else who's been groomed and courted, and not specifically for this role, but it seems as if that's what they're setting him up for.
Just say who it could be. Nobody's listening. I said nobody listens. Just tell us who it could be.
No, I can't. I can't yet. I don't want to. I don't want to put my stamp on it until I can
listen. Just tell her.
She's being a respectable journalist, and she's not going out there with you, brother.
Oh man.
Now I gotta keep some secrets until I can.
Yeah.
I'm trying to TMZ the alt news up. Like, I want to get news, but I want to be Harvey just sitting there dishing it out.
Yeah, we should do that.
Look, I'll give people real info. That's what they need, but I still. What'd you hear about, Guy?
Well, that's how people. I guess in a way we've been conditioned to want to consume news.
Exactly. That's what I say to people all the time. That's what they want. That's what they should get.
TMZ should be this.
The people, the masses.
Right. No, it should be just this tabloid essentially, but now it's breaking news.
Truthfully, if there was an affair to come out tomorrow about one of these politicians,
it would be TMZ to break it.
I would go to TMZ to get the news.
Yeah.
We live in a world where the National Enquirer won a Pulitzer Prize for John Edwards. They destroyed John Edwards.
Yeah.
John Edwards was going to be the vice president of the United States. Well,
and now
in that show, you know, but whatever.
Now he's nothing but an also ran. Like, he's not.
Oh, I know. I don't think they groomed him like they did Rubio. I really think Rubio was going to be the president of the United States. I think that was their intention. I think that was their intention the whole time, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I just think they're taking this too good.
You don't think that they had a backup? I mean, that's what I'm saying. There is a backup, of course. They don't just put all of their energy. They don't put all their eggs in. I mean, it just doesn't work like that. You know that.
Well, of course. I don't know who it could be.
But at this point, it's starting to look like it's getting too close to end game to pull out a card like that. It may shift the tide, but is there enough time for that to really, like, if they're going to drop this third candidate, they got to do it now.
I disagree only because, for one thing, this election is setting all sorts of new precedents, right?
Right.
So
I think you drop a bomb at the convention no matter what you do. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, this is the one situation where the establishment is, like, grasping at straws with Hillary. They're doing the same thing with trying to avoid Trump. In that vein, I think that this person is a distinct possibility because of that fact. Like, they despise Trump. They do not want him representing their party or, you know, particularly in the presidency. So that's why I think that this person might actually be a viable candidate. But like I said, even if he is a viable candidate, I think that, you know, coming out of nowhere at the end of the election might actually give Hillary the hand up.
Well, and look, this is the well, at least what appears to be, in some ways, kind of the outlier cycle, where anything can happen. personally, I would think that the convention would be too late to build an entire campaign around. But if there's a cycle that could happen within it, it's this one.
Just say the name, Claire.
I am not going to say the name.
James Baker.
Yeah. This is beyond frustrating that you just can't say a simple name like.
I don't want to because I know that for one thing, I bet that you're going to all argue with me. I'm going to save it because I want the article to go with what I say so that I will have.
Think about all the thousands of people right now that are listening to you, and you're just keeping them on the hook.
Can we do it like it sounds like?
Yeah, Claire, we don't think you're endorsing the said candidate.
No, I know that. Of course not. Of course I'm not. No, but I think that it's important to kind of I get it. You'll see. You'll see.
That's not what TMZ would do.
Kanye West, 2016.
Damn it, you got it.
Great. I'm very insightful.
I don't.
No, just no.
You really think that there's going to be an outside person? There's not.
I'm almost positive there is.
But you're talking about an outside person that is.
It is a party. It's a party darling.
Okay.
He's a party darling, and he's an outside candidate only because he's not been anywhere like directly involved in the race per se. He's kind of a minor outskirts character. His name has been tossed around, but for over a year now, at least for over a year now.
And you're talking.
He's been groomed as well.
Inside.
Who in the world? I'm sure people are way smarter than us that have figured this out.
They might have.
Not us.
If you figured it out, give us a call. Scott?
717-717-8296. If anybody is smarter than me, which probably most everybody, 718-717.
Oh, the lines are flooded.
8296. They are. Claire, just give us the answer.
No, you really. I really am not going to. I'm good at this keeping secrets thing. I'm waiting on this one. You will see. You'll see and you'll understand. But until that point, you're just gonna have to wait.
Can we get it like a time frame? When is this?
This weekend.
Give us a date.
Okay. All right. So this weekend.
May. I need a date. I need an exact. We need to drop.
This weekend. This weekend.
All right.
I'm gonna put a timer.
All right, guys.
Like CNN does. We've got like 7 hours until we talk.
It is not that big of a deal.
Get them refresh buttons ready.
Yep. That's it. That's what we're doing.
Because dropping this weekend, we got big news.
We do. Speaking of big news.
Oh, you said big news? There's something happening next week that's big.
Big stuff.
Yeah, that is big news.
Man, well, I'm just, yeah. I'm excited to get to that because I think that is an actual very important story. It's going to revolve around the Clintons, and it is the truth that needs to be heard on a very serious topic, very serious situation.
I don't want to talk it up anymore just in case it
doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it no matter what. I'll talk about it no matter what.
Yeah,
Because it's still a story that needs to be heard. That is something that people need to understand, that this is what's coming down the pipeline. That the Clintons, either one of them, are not very good people. And this is the truth. And we all know I don't want Donald Trump to be president, but I don't know. I don't want anybody to be president with them people, but it is what it is. You know, it's kind of the tough position that we're in this country. That's why I think we have to go back and look at our own lives and make sure that we're doing our own thing. And that's why, I think it's okay to go watch the football game as long as you're not completely asleep about what's going on in the world. Enjoy your life. Love your family. Go out, take a hike.
Well, there comes a time where you'll
live your life.
Yeah, you'll burn out and go crazy if all you
don't spend your entire life invested in this. Although it's admirable, don't drive your.
But there's a difference between being, intentionally ignorant and, being someone who has varied interest and is also, knowledgeable about things going on in the world.
That's it. Kevin's over here just shaking his head, being like, no. study all the time.
No. Don't.
So, look, at the end of the day, no matter who's the president, we're still going to be here, and we're still going to have the people around us, and we still need to live our lives accordingly and be good to the people around us. Because as crazy as Donald Trump is, and as crazy as Hillary Clinton is, they're not going to make your decisions for you. Chances are you'll never meet either one of those two people. Unless, like, you're, like, at a boxcar or something, and, like, one of them comes up in front of you and, like, just inspects you, and then they throw you in the boxcar. That's possible.
Nah, they have other people that do that.
But what if it's, like, a big show? Like, you know, they have to have the cameras for a show.
Well, I think they would pick people more important than us.
I don't think it would matter. Like, Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Yeah, definitely Freddie Prinze Jr.
You think they would show him Trump just looking him up and down?
Like, yeah, you're a little too brown for me, buddy. In the boxcar you go.
Wow. He's not even that brown.
No, he's not.
Kinda.
I think, I think he's more, like, artificially tan. His dad, Freddie Prinze, great comedian, but I want to say that he was Puerto Rican.
See?
But Trump's orange.
Well, yeah.
He is.
And
orange.
soon we all will be.
That's the new race. Yeah. That's it.
It's how. Yeah. It's
that is it.
It's how we bring
Maybe Trump is legitimately racist. Maybe he is a new race that is orange.
Well, maybe
he hates everyone, and we'll all be punished.
Or maybe on the flip side, he will spray everyone his shade of orange, and that's how he'll end racism.
Oh, that's a positive way to look at things.
Yeah.
Well,
orange is the new what?
Orange is orange is the new. Yeah.
I don't know.
In that sense, I guess orange is the new white.
Orange is the new pigment.
Orange is, Aryan. I don't know.
Yeah.
A little too out there.
I thought we were playing fill in the blank.
And it seems like, everybody compares Trump to Hitler. Why don't I just go ahead and throw that ball down the field? Well, why can't I say that?
Oh, make a comparison between Trump and Hitler?
Right. Everybody else does it.
There's a fresh idea.
I know. Nobody's done.
But he is like Godwin's law in action, though. You know.
I just live your life, be happy, don't be asleep, pay attention to what's going on around you. We don't need to be in these wars. And at the very least, and I know it seems so pointless. I understand this. I understand how the government works. I understand it's corrupt. But if your goon representative in Congress gets enough phone calls, they get scared, because if they don't get elected, they don't get money. And these people are greedy, and they want to stay in office. So it's really against their own human nature of them being bad people that if you do call them over and over and over, they'll do what you want for their own survival. So harass them. Say, look, get us out of the war. All is better reserved.
We live in a day and age where, bending the ear of those in power a lot easier than it has been. So there's no need for us not to use that power that we have.
And that's it. The power of the internet is the power to collect, and you can get people together. And once you get people together, maybe you can make a little bit of a difference in the world. I don't personally see how taking any violent route's going to fix or solve anything. I think that's counterproductive. I think that's completely counterproductive. That's just going to make the problem a million times worse, actually. But
there's no way to win that fight.
No, that's impossible.
No,
that's impossible. One of my good friends, who I've actually been on the show, has been in Iraq 3 times. Said, "Look, let me tell you something." He goes, if they wanted to do something, he goes, that Second Amendment, that's cute.
Yeah.
He goes, all them guns in the world ain't going to save anybody. Yeah. He goes, and nobody's going to have to, march anywhere. So he goes, the technology's there. So That's it. Last words, Kevin.
Man, look forward to next week's show. Tuesday's show.
Way overhyped now.
I know.
Way overhyped with no name.
I know. In
No
the
Name
Fed.
Gypsy
In the Fed.
is going to be on the show?
Yes. Claire, parting words.
Everybody stop dividing amongst yourselves.
That's it. I agree with that. Unless you're in the Roman Empire, then screw you. Robbie, any last words?
Is this my execution?
Yep, apparently it is. Anti-Media Radio, this is S.M. Gibson. Thank you so much for joining us on UCY. We'll be back next week. Anti-Media Radio out.